it's me, Kim, your friendly local yarn shop owner, and I'm back again for week 3 of our modular progressive pride flag knit along. I'm doing a 4-ply version here in the Pixie Yarn hand-dyed progressive pride colorways, and I am also doing a super chunky version here just so you guys can see those stitches super well when I'm showing off new techniques. Let's get into it. So today you are going to need your light blue because we have done white, which was this one here, section 1. We've done 2 sections of pink, sections 2 and 3, and now we are about to do section 4 and 5, which is the light blue on both sides. This is kind of a fun week because it is very, very similar to last week's. If we have a look here and we go to the light blue stripe, section 4 and 5, which you'll notice matches the sections on here, 4 and 5. I love a bit of a color coding. Section 4 and 5 is the same as the pink stripe. It's just going to be a little bit longer. So just like with our pink stripe, we are going to start off by casting on some stitches in our light blue yarn and then joining them together. So let's get started. I've got my beautiful light blue here and the same needles I've been using this whole time. Let's cast on some stitches. So I've got 9 stitches on my needle here, and we're just going to follow the pattern the same way we did the pink side. So we're going to slip one with yarn in front. I bet y'all are super good at that now. Bring yarn to the back and to end. We are going to be slipping as usual, and we're going to start our slant. So we are starting off with the knit 2 together through the back loop. It's always fiddly on these tiny needles, but I really like them. Knit to 3 before the end, knit through the front and the back, knit 1 and bring yarn to the front and slip 1 purlwise. Remember, that gets us set up for our joining. Now I've turned the work around and we are on row 3 here. I don't know if you can see that in the pattern, but row 3 here. So as it's all color coded, makes it easy. So we're aligning the garter ridges at the left side of the back of section 2, and it's in pink. We know that this is section 2 here from our diagram, so that's the back here, and it's pink with the first rows of section 4, which is light blue. And we're going to use the first obvious slip stitch, and we're doing a join right, knit 3 together, knit to end. And if you're ever unsure about the joins or the stitches, there's always the abbreviations here, so you can always go back there and check which way am I putting my needle in, and it'll remind you. Okay, so now this is joined up here on our first little join row. We are going to do row 4 and 5 until we run out of this section 2 to join to. So first row, we will just be slipping and doing our increases and decreases. And then row 5 is our join and knit to end. So we're just going to repeat those back and forth. They should be super familiar to you because it is the same that we did on the pink section, but instead of joining it onto the white like we did here, we're going to be joining the blue to the pink. So we'll be starting to see the little blue and pink slip stitches appear over here. So I'm back, and here is our lovely little slip stitch edging here. This is what it's looking like on the front, looking good. And our joins here, you can see there's not a big dip anywhere, so we're doing good. So we are at the point here where we're running into the very tippy top. Now, as you can see here, there's not a really obvious slip stitch there, so that means it's time to slip onto this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and slip into this stitch here like that, and then we are going to do our join just like normal, but instead of having the 3 stitches, we just have the 2. Make sure we're using the blue yarn. There we go. So we're going to finish that stitch off like so, and then we carry on until the end of this one here. So this is the very end of a row 5. So we've gone right to the tip of section 2. And here's where you could count your slip stitches if you were so inclined. I'm not too bothered. I look at it and go, yeah, that looks good. Doesn't look wibbly wobbly. It doesn't look stretched out. So we're good. So on to the next bit here. So that's that bit there. And there's your the tip of section 2. So now we're going to do the top of the light blue on the right side. The same as when we did the pink, we came up to here, right? And we did the top of the white. And now we have to do this little triangle here. So we're going to continue to decrease on that side, but we're not doing any increases on this side to create that flat edge. Let's do it. Slip yarn as usual. Do your decrease and then knit to end. So I like to keep my stitch marker in that last little stitch, because then I know when I'm coming to do the other side, I know exactly where the tip of that pink point is going to be. And then this is the other row, which is just a slip and knit to end. There we go, and we're going to repeat those 2 rows until we only have 4 stitches left. Got 4 stitches on my needle, and I have just finished a wrong side row. So I'm going to turn it around to the right side, and we know this is the right side because it doesn't have those slip stitch seams. And the next little bit here is just going to be our finishing off the point. So this is exactly the same as what we did on the pink side, but just to refresh your memory, we'll go ahead and do that together. So I'm slipping, bringing the yarn to the back, and knitting 2 together the normal way, and knit 1. I got 3 stitches left. I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to work a plain row now. So I am slipping 1 and I'm knitting to the end. And then finally our last row where we've got 3 stitches and we want to turn them into 1. So I'm going to go ahead and knit all these 3 together. And there we have it. So there is our nice clean point, which is looking really good. I can go ahead and snip this yarn here, like so. And we're gonna need a new stitch marker, aren't we? So I'm gonna take this little stitch marker here off from the bottom and pop it into that stitch there. There we go. So now it's time to do the next section, which is section 5, I believe. Yes, section 5. So blue on the left-hand side. Again, we're gonna cast on some stitches and then we're going to start attaching them. So I'll be back when I've cast on my 9 stitches. Got our 9 little stitches here, and it's time to work the left-hand side. So first row is slip stitch. I bet you guys knew that was coming. Slip stitch, bring the yarn in the back, and we're gonna go straight into our increase. Knit through the front and the back. Knit to 3 stitches before the end. Knit 2 together. And knit 1. I always find it really tricky at this point to swap over in my head the fact that we are now going in the opposite direction. Like, I know we're going in the opposite direction, but to swap over from, you know, doing your decrease first and then your increase to doing it the opposite way always just takes me a hot second. So, you know, if you're a bit slow doing that too, I wouldn't worry about it. Right, slip 1, bring your to the back, knit to last stitch. Remember, when we're doing the joining on the left-hand side, we want to leave 1 stitch here before we turn. So now we're going to align the garter ridges of the right-hand side of the back of section 3, and we're going to join left, knit 3 together. I'm going to go ahead and find the very bottom slip stitch. So if I went in up here, we would have a big gap, and if I went in right there at the bottom as well, we're going to have a jump. So we want to make sure we're getting this very first stitch. Get both legs. First one's always the trickiest. Get both legs and knit those bad boys together. It always feels super awkward first when you do. 3 and 4, we're going to repeat. we are on the wrong side again. I'll just go over this again for you guys, although it is exactly the same as the previous pink section. So if you are getting confused, it's definitely worth going back and having a watch of the pink section, or leave me a comment if, you know, it's really not working for you and you're not sure what the heck's going on. Just let me know. Hopefully you can see this. I'm not doing a very good job of filming this today. There we go. Usually when I knit this, I'm nice and cozy on my couch. It's really comfy, cozy, and I just love doing these little bits back and forth. They're very, is it potato chippy, where you just want to keep doing a little bit again and again and again. But doing the little tutorials for these is a little more uncomfortable, so I'm a little more clumsy, but that's all right. There we go. Doing our increases and our decreases. And then, voila! We have our little slip stitches starting to form there. It's obviously a little hard to see at this point, but there we go. And I will see you when I get to the top. Okay, we're back. As always, I'm gonna do the join with you here. So I'm on the very last row, and I am gonna get there. So we knit to the last stitch here. Here we go. And this is our last little stitch, and we're gonna go through, we're actually gonna go through this blue bit as well. You can just go through the pink, but I find you get a much cinchier, you get a better cinch if you go through the blue as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this needle through that one there, like so, and then through the pink loop too. And that little stitch marker there is helping me keep my place. Sorry, there we go. We're gonna wrap that around here. And there we go. And that is a much tighter little join there. So now I can take this little stitch marker out of the way, and we can have a look at the next bit of our pattern. Top of light blue, left side. So what we are doing here is we are creating this little triangle. You can see that's the bottom of the triangle there, and you've got this sort of right angle here, and then we're going to be decreasing into that area there. So it's very similar to what we were doing with this bit here, but we are only decreasing now, no increases, and we are going to be eating into the blue slip stitches as we go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and show you the end. Again, if you're confused about how this works, go back to the pink video, which is last week's video. I go over it in detail, both on the small one and in the chunky yarn. So if you get confused, that's the place to go. Wonderful. I have just finished this little guy off here. She is looking so cute. I love her. So we've got our tippy toe, our point here with our stitch marker on it, and that is the blue section done. If you aren't a beginner and you want to carry on, this is the moment where I will see you next week. Make sure you have your dark brown ready for next week, and we are going to be carrying on. Now it's a little bit different than the blue and the pink stripe because we've got to start contending with these edges. So you'll definitely want to tune in next week for how to do the brown stripe and then the black bit. And yeah, I'm super excited. This is coming along super well. And if you are a newbie and you wanted to see me knit this little sample up, I'm going to be doing that now. I unfortunately don't have a lighter blue at the moment than this, so we're just going to roll with it. And we should be able to see what this looks like with another stripe. Hello, my newbies and my beginners, and those of you who just want to see it in big yarn. I've got my blue here, and I'm going to start this next section. The blue section that we are doing is exactly the same as the pink section, except we are going to be working into the pink section up to the top. So I'm going to skip some bits because we already went over that on the pink video. So if you do feel like you're getting a bit lost, that's okay. Take a deep breath, go back to last week's video and have a look at the pink bit there, and that will give you a reminder of what you're supposed to be doing. So let's go for it. Right, just to get us warmed up, I'm going to go ahead and go through the connecting onto the pink again, just because it's still pretty new for us. And then I'm going to do some movie magic and you'll see it grow. So this is the light blue stripe. So we want to make sure we're working on section 4 here. And we are, we're starting on the right hand side. So this bit here is going to get attached onto that bit, the right hand side, as we are looking at it from the front. This is the back, remember, with our slip stitches. So we're going to cast on our stitches, and the first row is our setup row. So we are going to slip one with yarn in front, bring it to the back, and knit to end. This gives us just a little something to work with. There we go. I wish I had a lighter colored blue for this, but I just don't have any in the super chunky right now. So anyway, it's still gonna look super cute by the end of it. So we've done that first row. Second row, we are gonna be doing our increases and then our funky slip one. So remembering which side we're doing what, we're going to be doing a decrease and then an increase at the end. Here we go. Slip one, and we're going to go ahead and do our decrease, which is knit 2 together through the back loop. And then you're going to knit until you have 3 stitches left, which is what I do. I'm going to go ahead and knit through the front and the back. That's our increase. Again, I go over these things in a little more detail and slower in the previous video if you're not sure about it. We're going to knit one, and we're going to bring the yarn to the front and slip. So this is the one that's going to get connected to our pink section here. So now we're going to turn it over. We're aligning the garter stitch ridges here. We're going to be putting our needle through the front to the back, just like that. We're going to grab our blue yarn, which should be at the back here. We're going to go ahead and knit those together. So one of the hardest things for some of my test knitters was getting this join to be smooth and not have a sort of lump in it. Now, when they first started doing it, they were putting their needle in from the back to the front, and so that was giving a super wibbly wobbly join here. But the other thing that some of my test knitters were doing was starting way too high. So they would put their first stitch through here, and what that did is it created a big lump, which you can actually see on the sample that I have in the pattern. Let's see if I can show you here. I think I've tried to like hide it as best as I can, but yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, but on this little edge here of the flag, there's a little bit of wibbly wobblies. But if you really want to try and get as flat an edge as possible, you really want to get into that bottom slip stitch when you do it the first time. If you do end up with a little bit of a gap, I wouldn't worry too much. You can kind of fudge it a little bit with your I-cord border. But yeah, I just think it looks so nice. Okay, sorry, I'm chatting a lot. Let's carry on. Awesome, we're at the little top bit there. So now it is time to do this bit here. So if we have a look at the pink, and we draw a line here. Can you see how that makes a little triangle? We're going to be doing exactly the same thing, but up here. So we're going to be creating our little triangle here. That means we're continuing to decrease on this side here, but we are not increasing anymore, and it will go up like that, creating a longer chevron. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, if you are not sure, have a look at the pink video and you'll be all good to go. Top of the blue is done. Time to put a stitch marker in there and start on the other side. And there it is, all done, beautiful. So I did sort of skip through this little bit just because it's very similar to the pink bit. We just needed to get her done, and now she's beautiful. So as I said earlier, tune in next week for the next section. Get your dark brown ready. We're gonna start changing the shape a little bit. So although it looks very similar on the pattern, because we are coming into the corner bit, I don't know if you can see that on the top here, because we're coming into the corner bit of the flag, we're gonna actually start from like a little bit and then get bigger, and then, so it's a little bit different next week. Spoilers. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me again this week. We have successfully finished our light blue section. I'll just grab this one here. So we are on the third color we've just finished, and next week we will be on to section, look at the pattern because I always forget, section 6 and 7, which is the brown stripe. I hope you guys are having a good time and enjoying this knit. It is very addictive. I absolutely love it, and it's been so fun making these. I can do a whole color in an evening, and it's very enjoyable. I hope you are also having fun. Let us know if there is anything else you'd like to see from these little videos. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Bye. And we're going to be putting our hook through, our hook